Alright, so we're going to talk about WMI in PowerShell, but what you need to do first is download this little program called Scriptomatic PowerShell version, and it makes things a lot easier. So it's in the description. Go ahead and download that, and I'm going to talk about WMI for a little bit while you're doing that. And yeah, so WMI basically stands for Windows Management Instrumentation, and I don't entirely understand it, but this is what I understand about it. It's basically a nether realm, right? And you throw commands into this nether realm, and on the other side of this nether realm, um, the nether realm communicates with uh, the hardware and the software on your computer, and then it kind of negotiates uh, the whatever the tolls and fees for those services are, and then it spits back that information out at you in your favorite scripting or programming language. So you can use uh, lots of different languages like C sharp, uh, and in this case, we're going to use uh, PowerShell. So, and this is something that's really good if you want to inventory a system, and it's really handy because it has access to hardware components, which is something that's very important when you want to do inventory or even find out the status of uh, of those components, because it offers a wide array of properties that you can uh, tap into and check out. So I'm just going to kind of assume that you've got Scriptomatic open right now, and if you don't, you can hit pause. But if you have it open, basically this is a interface that generates the necessary PowerShell code to tap in to the WMI Nether Realm, and uh, so it's organized in uh, groups of namespaces, and inside those namespaces, there's are classes, and those classes contain um, the commands that we throw at the Nether Realm in order to pull back information that we want, or we can just tell it to uh, give us all the information that it has access to. So there are tons of namespaces, but the most popular, and I guess the one that you'll see a lot of examples referencing, is the CIM v2. This contains lots of resources that you can use to access hardware on your system. So even right at the top here, we can see we can access battery information, baseboard, which is the motherboard. We have BIOS here. Let's check out the BIOS and work with the BIOS for a little bit. So in Scriptomatic, you can hit run right here, and it will just pull up a PowerShell interface, and it will run the code that it generates to tap into that namespace and the class to talk with the BIOS and get some information. And you'll see that it has pulled back the BIOS version, the manufacturer, the name, serial number, the version, and that's good. So that shows you how powerful this is. You can basically talk directly with the hardware and find more information about it. You could imagine, like in a laptop situation, which I have right now, it probably wouldn't be very easy to pop this thing open to, try to read something off the BIOS. But this doesn't give us all the information. If we want to get all the information, we have to come down to this little drop down menu and say use all the properties. So if we run that, you'll see that we get a whole list of other properties for that BIOS. And you'll see even some of these are even collections. This is right here, BIOS characteristics. It's a collection of numbers. Well, let's try to work with that a little bit more. Let's come back in here to the PowerShell ISE, and we're going to get rid of this formatting list, and we're going to turn this WMI object into a PowerShell object. and we'll just call it BIOS, and we'll run it inside PowerShell. Oops. No pipelines allowed. Okay, so we run that, and now we have this BIOS object, which is similar to what Scriptomatic displayed when we just hit run. But we can do things more specifically now, because we have access to all those different properties, and we also have methods associated with this as well. So we can actually do other things with it. But let's go back to BIOS characteristics, because that was an interesting one right there. So we have a collection of numbers here. What could these numbers mean? Well, one of the things that you have to do fairly often with WMI is go on the internet and find out what the references to data are inside of these WMI classes, because a lot of times there'll be numbers that mean something, but you can't find them out unless you actually go look it up on the internet. So if we come on to this browser, and you'll see that we are at the Microsoft website, and this is for the BIOS class, which is the one that we've tapped into, and it'll show us everything that we have here, much like the output of the when we told it to select all the properties. This is everything it outputs there. So we can scroll down and we can see BIOS characteristics. Well, all those numbers show you all the different properties that are capable for that BIOS. So these different numbers mean different things. 24, INT, floppy services are supported. So that's another thing to note with WMI, is that the internet is a really great resource to find out what different things mean inside of WMI classes. So that's just one example of working with the BIOS. So I could even use other properties if I just wanted to find out the BIOS version. Very simple to use a property like that. What else do we have? Caption, build number. Okay, it doesn't show that. So yeah, that's one example. So let's come back up here. And what's another good one? Logical disk. Let's say you wanted to find out how many hard drives, or I guess disks, data volumes that you had on your machine, and you wanted to know what types they were. Well, you could come to logical disk and run logical disk, and you'll see, much like the example where I said that there are number references for different properties within these classes. Drive type is a number reference to tell you whether it is a local hard disk or whether it is a USB removable disk. So you'll see that there are different drive types here. 3 is a local hard disk, and these 5, I think, are DVD CD-ROM drives. So you could even see how many CD-ROM drives a computer has, and because these things are remote, you could or remotely capable, you could run these commands across a network of computers and quickly inventory how many CD-ROM drives your computers on your network have. So it opens up a lot of opportunity for inventorying hardware across a great number of systems really efficiently. So let's get out of here. So we looked at how we can use Scriptomatic to create these WMI objects, and we saw how we can take these WMI objects and turn them into PowerShell objects, and then interface with those objects inside PowerShell so that we can achieve our goals. So let's look at one more thing over here. Basically, I just pulled a bunch of different ones that I thought were fun. We already went over the show BIOS. There's another one. It's in CIMV2, application games. And if you have games installed on your system and you want to have all the games listed, you can run this code here and it'll list the games. But unfortunately, I just reformatted my hard drive, so I don't have anything except a few core stuff installed. But here's an interesting one that I'll run. It's called show ratings. And when we run that, basically it just lists all the different ratings types that I'm guessing content providers can apply to using this WMI listing or something or other. I'm not really sure, but it's just interesting. Ages 7 and higher. You can find out keyboard information, and like I said, it matters basically on whether they are a WMI provider. So lots of hardware companies use WMI to provide information about their stuff, but lots of software companies can also use WMI. So you can use WMI to interface with Windows, obviously, because Microsoft has it as a component of Windows, but other software companies may provide it as well, and you can explore that whether they're here. I've seen some for different programs, but you can spend all day going through all these classes and just searching for information. You can see some of them are, I mean, there's really nothing in here. Okay, game. See, I don't know. There's tons of information. Oh, actually, it did show my game. Is this StarCraft 2? All right, so application games. I ran it. So you all see that I lied. I did have StarCraft 2 installed, and I was playing that the other day. I was caught by WMI. Thanks, WMI. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.